Now I'm saying that. Could you tell us what these are?
The last of 2017 donated $100 to go towards pay to participate, and then we had 2 individuals donate money for FPLA. That's it. I don't have anything more because I just had a meeting for me on June 30th.
Okey-doke. If you would call the roll on this one?
Ms. Farmington?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Ms. Parsoni?
Yes.
Mr. Tackett?
Yes. Item 7, treasurer's non-action items.
7.1 through 7.5 are, it's the month of June, but it's also the year-end reports, so we have everything closed. I have everything over to the county auditor, including our language for the resolution for being on the renewal ballot for November's election. So that's filed, and like I said, everything for the year is closed. We are now starting to load in everything for this upcoming school year. So we're balanced, we're closed, and all's well.
Terrific. Any questions? Item 8, superintendent's consent agenda. We need a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Shepherd, would you please?
Sure.
Go through these?
8.1, we have a bunch of disposals from each of the schools from technology, and those are listed thanks to Mr. Shade and Mr. Skidmore. We have those well listed. 8.2 is an agreement with ACC. If you had a moment to read that, that is just Auburn Career Center, and it's a business partnership program. Of course, we would want to participate with that, as well as that takes care of our business council from policy. We also have a memorandum of understanding in 8.3 with PCTA. Dr. Engelhardt and his group went through a tedious task of going through the OTES rubric, which is the evaluation process, and they came up with a compromise that would require us to have a memorandum of understanding per the negotiated agreement. So we appreciate the work that the teachers and Dr. Engelhardt did on that, as well as Scott's leadership with PCTA. Also, 8.4, another memorandum of understanding, a long task in working with PCTA and just understanding the ins and outs of title programming and funding, but we have reached a memorandum of understanding with Teachers Association for Title I tutoring position. 8.5, a memorandum of understanding with OPSI for an attendance liaison. 8.6, the Re-Ed service agreement, as always on the contract, and 8.7 is Signature Health agreement for consulting. You keep in mind, Signature Health is our mental health services, along with Crossroads for our students, as well as many other therapies.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have 2 questions. One is about the Title I tutor position. Under 6, it says if there's a reduction in force, the tutor cannot displace anybody else. Now, even if they're certified in another area and they have seniority,
Yeah, that, we wrote it that way, such that they're a bar unit member, however, they wouldn't have rights to follow that position.
has that been the practice in the past?
It's model language for positions like that.
Okay.
We work directly with the local rep for the association, as well as with our legal, to draft this, and it's very similar to other districts that have these positions. And it's in the best interest to longstanding folks in the union, because that way someone with title can't bump. They're assuming that title position. It's kind of a stepping stone for that person to gain a permanent position with the district. So that's one of the reasons that it's written that way, because many of them will, it's a cost-effective way for us to kind of monitor and select the best candidates for
So if the
permanent teaching.
funding is cut,
Mhm.
if Title I funding is cut by the state and the employee's been with the district for 12 years, they could lose their job. Is that what we're saying? Because if they can't bump anybody else? I'm just curious.
Mhm.
I don't even know who any of the Title I tutors are, so.
I mean, that could be a scenario. If we have a funding cut such that somebody is losing a job, it could be them, simply because they wouldn't be able to bump into anybody else.
But we currently don't have Title I tutors. This is a new position that doesn't exist in the district. Our current Title I teachers are, we call them Title I teachers. This tutoring position is much different.
Okay. My other question was about the attendance liaison position. And I was under the impression from your Friday update, Mr. Shepherd, that there was gonna be a revised job description.
They do have that on file.
Okay.
I can send that out to you as
Okay.
well. We developed that along with student services, but also with the court system.
Okay.
But I will make a
So
note to
is it
send that out.
vastly different from?
The requirements based on the new law kind of expand some of the responsibilities for that person, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. But I'll send that out.
Okay.
But my questions were actually on the same two items. Looking at these, are we actually going to be increasing personnel? Are we going to be adding staff to fill these, or do we expect that they'll be filled internally?
Which of the two?
Well, it was the same ones, the title.
The
so for
title,
tutors,
the title will be by attrition. I think we'll be adding one tutor, as you'll see on later on the agenda this evening.
And then for the attendance, will that be the same person who's essentially been doing that work?
No,
It's a new position?
that's correct. Based on the requirements of the job, we chose a different person.
Anything else? On the OTES piece, you look at the rubric and it's pretty kind of generic across the board. How does that play out at the different age ranges, whether it's elementary, primary, or high school? How does that, you're following the same process, I'm assuming, for all buildings, all levels, but how does that in practice really change? Is there a difference in emphasis or anything like that, or is it really that broad, the rubric is that broad that it, adequately covers all the different levels?
Right. I'll defer to Dr. Engelhardt, and then I'll give you my answer how I use it. So,
Yeah, it's intended to capture any subject area, any level. What has to happen is evaluators need to, for their given level, for example, the elementary team, they have to be able to look at each item and be able to define what that means, in the K through 5 world, just as, the middle school and the high school have to kind of define each of those items in more concrete terms of what it looks like for them. And that's part of the process that with going through the rubric revision, it gives us the opportunity to really get our teeth into, because we've streamlined it and we've got the redundancy out of there and the vague language out of there. So the process for us is going to be, first, as an admin team, going line by line and saying specifically, what does this look like? And part of that is, here's what it looks like in a kindergarten classroom, here's what it looks like in a physics classroom. And then what we'll be doing in the fall, early fall, is we're going to have professional development sessions at each building, make it very, very available to everybody, to specifically talk through that rubric. And for that audience, this is what it looks like. You know, to hit this performance level, these are the things that you'd be doing in your classroom.
And that PD is going to deal, that's going to serve not only the teachers, but the evaluators as well, or?
Yeah, so the evaluators, we have to sit down and really define that first.
Right.
This is what it looks like. Once we go through all of that work, then it's, yeah, and the evaluators are gonna be part of that. It's, the audience then is really for the teachers
Okay.
to really establish that clarity on exactly, you know, what does this expectation mean? What's it look like? What, you know, what is unclear to you as an audience to help us clarify that, et cetera.
Now, with the middle school and high school, it's not that big a deal because there's only one of each, but with the elementaries with 3 buildings, there's a lot of emphasis being placed on consistency and,
Right.
and continuity between the 3 schools,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, so there's gonna be a lot of hours put into that here, late summer, early fall. And we're going to be doing exercises like, we're gonna have the elementary team in scheduled days where they, as a team of 3, do some classroom walkthroughs at different buildings, debrief after each one, you know, talk through, get clarification, get clarity. So there's gonna be a lot of work put into that. It's the perfect opportunity to do it now that we've revised the instrument.
Okay.
And one of the, for me, it's a recalibration, what Dr. Englehart's talking about. We'll recalibrate not only the administrative team, but actually the teachers help develop this, so it's more user-friendly for them. But it's to answer your original question, how do you go from one level to the next? What's nice is that Dr. Englehart and his team, and the curriculum team have developed we use an online program on our phones when we do an informal observation we go through. So we're looking and targeting specific things that we want to see in the classroom, and then that form's sent immediately to the teacher. The feedback's immediate.
Mhm.
So it's a process of getting what the teachers really needed from the process of OTES, which has evolved from its initiation 6 years ago to today. It's really evolved. So what we have is a model that is really friendly to our staff and to our administrative team that will help us grow. So it is, you switch gears back and forth, but the team the high school team will work together with their evaluations because they split them up, as well as the middle school. But the 3 elementary principals, Dr. Englehart will meet with them, they'll meet with all of us together, and they'll recalibrate us on the rubric.
And who will be providing the professional development?
I will lead it,
Okay.
but at each building, the principal is going to, well, I'd like to say, I haven't talked to them about that.
Surprise.
They're still on
I'll be there
vacation.
to help out. But it would be, I mean, each principal as an evaluator is going to be a leader in these
Okay.
sessions as well.
Great, thank you.
It's I think, going to be a good revision to the process.
Well, I certainly think any evaluation process like that, where it is more growth and feedback than it is, you know, checkbox, do this or that, that's
Mhm.
gonna help benefit everybody, so I'm glad to hear that. Any other questions or comments? All right, Ms. Samek, if you'd call the roll, please.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Ms. Powers Dolly?
Yes.
Ms. Remington?
Yes.
Mr. Tackett?
Yes. Item 9, superintendent non-action items.
We have reports for job injuries second semester that are reported to, in our system as well as to workers' comp. And then 9.2, discussion of district culture and climate. We have got great rave reviews from the chaperones that took our students out to California, and what a pleasure it was for our students, and the partnership we have with Avery Dennison. So I want to give kudos to Ms. Rapport and her team of chaperones for an excellent trip. I'm also going to ask Ms. Rapport to maybe come into our September meeting, because not only did we have students going to California, but we have students all over the country this summer at different camps, different sessions that relate directly to FBLA and E-City. So I'd like for her to kind of summarize that, because it's quite a outstanding number of students who have experiences outside of what I would call typical high school camps. She advocates very much for our students along with our partners at Avery and Lubrizol to get those students out and where they need to be. It's an amazing task to get students all over the country, and it's a financial gift that both those corporations give to our district. So I'm just very proud of all of they've done, so I wanted to share that. But we'll get a report out and have them come and present, maybe 10 to 15 minutes about what camp did for them.
Sure. You know, certainly at that September meeting too, we could prepare a resolution, you know, to the corporations and the business sponsors, not just Avery and Lubrizol, but I mean, there's others.
We're going to have, at our opening day, we're going to be recognizing both Avery and Lubrizol, as well as small and medium businesses who contribute to the district. You know how we do the staff member of the year? We're doing that, but we're gonna start with a cohort of maybe 4 corporations and businesses that have helped our district a lot. We're gonna start putting them together every year. We're gonna recognize them at the beginning of the school year.
You know, one thing Mentor does that I like is on a lot of their electronic signs, they will just flash an announcement of, thank you,
Mhm.
you know, whatever, for sponsoring.
Right.
You know, we should definitely consider things like that, especially for local Painesville businesses.
Right.
May we add a resolution also at the September meeting for Ms. Rapport, since she's the national FBLA
Yes.
advisor?
I was-
Actually, she's only the state.
Oh, I thought you
She was,
said-
yeah, she was
It was-
recognized as.
She
the
was recognized
state.
as the state.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was national too, but
Okay.
it turned out when they got back, she was like, oh no, it was only the state, but only the state.
However, Ohio, Painesville, or Harvey High School was the only high school from Ohio at the
Yeah,
FBLA.
there was one other guy.
One student?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
from Ohio.
Oh, the students were
Now,
bragging
what are
that they
the
were there.
results from the competition?
I don't know, we didn't have anybody finish in the top 10,
Okay,
so we didn't have anybody continue on
okay.
in the final round.
What an experience.
But they did great.
And a young group as well.
All right. Anything else for district culture and climate? Okay, item 10, personnel. We need a motion for this item.
So moved.
Second?
Great, Mr. Shepherd, if you.
Yes, 10.1, one resignation. 10.2, employment. You'll see 2 of those are employment through the district to the Lake Academy. We do employ those as the agent for that. 10.3, summer employment. 10.4, change of assignment. 10.5, extended time. 10.6, leaves of absence. 10.7, certified substitutes, those are from the Lake County Educational Service Center. 10.8, additional classified substitutes. 10.9 are student supplemental pupil activity sponsors and coaches.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Ms. Amick, if you call the roll, please.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Ms. Parazzoni?
Yes.
Ms. Remington?
Yes.
Mr. Cassell?
Yes.
Mr. Tackett?
Yes. Item 11, professional visits. Need a motion to approve these visits.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you.
11.1 are professional visits taken from general fund. You'll see some trainings that occurred over the early part of the summer, as well as one nurse going to a band trip.
Any questions? Hearing none, Ms. Anik, if you call the roll.
Ms. Firestone?
Yes.
Ms. Remington?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Mr. Tackett?
Yes. Guidelines, hearing of the public on non-agenda items. Mr. Edwards, Mr. Engelhardt, anybody want to say anything as a citizen? All right, we'll move on. Good things are happening. We covered some of this, but.
Yes, I could go on and on about the students, but I also want to give a shout out to many of our staff who've gone out of their way this summer. It's been crazy if you look on Walnut Street trying to get in and out of the district. We've had lots of groups in and out of our buildings. Nothing but great compliments from our staff. So I don't know, Mr. Haffa sometimes only hears complaints, but everyone has been very forthcoming and telling what a nice facility we have, and they appreciate the use of our building and the staff and how cordial they are and helpful. In addition, want to recognize the staff at the board office. We did reconfigure the board office, and we're still in the process, but a lot of people came in on their own time and painted their offices, so because we didn't have, we didn't want to hire it out, but if you wanted your office painted, we did replace the 30-year-old carpet in some areas, not all, and I think we have a more user-friendly board office where parents can come in, be welcomed, and we have our people who can interpret on that main floor. People aren't going up to the third floor to register a child with, kids in tow. So I think it's more user-friendly, and we appreciate everyone, even Mrs. Samek and everyone brought in their families, and we helped paint. So we did save a lot of money, I think, doing that, but it also gave us a little pride in our work and our work environment. So we appreciate all those folks, and we'll probably have a little pizza party or something for them once we get underway and everyone's back in the district.
We're not allowed to eat over the new carpet.
That's true. We'll have to sit
Laying down
outside.
the law there, Mr.
Yes.
Hopper, huh?
Well, no, it's more Dr. Engelhardt who's more of the strict one on that, so.
He's
But-
the one eating all the time.
But only in the safe areas. Yeah,
Now
so,
that he's got new carpet, he won't be, so. Over the garbage.
if you don't, we really, it shows you that you can do a little, or you can do a lot with a little, but it also is the team that you have together. People just really pitched in and did a great job. So for me, that's one of the most positive moments in my many years, just everyone working together to get a job done to make it better for our parents and families.
I have a question. Have we ever considered hosting open houses for prospective families with their children? That may seem to be, kind of everybody knows about Painesville City Schools, but I think sometimes when you have families who are moving into Painesville or considering the area, they would like to know about the schools. They'd like to see firsthand exactly what our schools have to offer. And just like private schools, have we ever considered having a open house at Hobart where families can come and they can meet the administration, they can meet teachers, they can, your student leaders can have a role in welcoming people, the same way for the high school.
Now, I know today I gave a tour. I was requested to give a tour to a prospective family moving here that will be at the college. And so it took
And I think sometimes,
40 minutes.
we need to toot our own horn, and we
Yeah,
need to,
It was very easy to do that today. It was probably one of the more pleasurable things we get to do is to show folks around. It was nice too because we had a lot of activity going on when I was here, showing the family around. They were very impressed.
How would you imagine an open house taking place? All the schools at once, or different, or once only at one school, or?
no, I think I would, well, with the middle school and the high school, I would have them separately. And target, you know, the middle school would be, when do people normally move? In the spring, the summer, early summer, that's when they're kind of looking, I think, you know, and deciding what school to register their children, you know, at. Wouldn't have to be long, but I just think, you know, it's time that we became very proactive and we let people know that we're very proud of our schools and our faculty and staff, and you know, we want you, we're not hiding anything. We're not ashamed of who we are. We want you to come in and see us and meet us and see all the wonderful opportunities that your children can have if they come to Painesville City Schools.
I mean, I like the idea of having an open house. I don't know that I would necessarily limit it to prospective students or prospective families only. I mean, I think it should be open to
Well,
the
I think
community.
anyone could come, but
Mhm.
to me, the target
Right.
market would be those people
Sure,
who
I
are
mean,
saying,
as far as
"Oh,
how
I'm
you,
gonna
as far as how you
build my
organize
house."
the event and all
Right.
that, it would be geared towards, you know,
Yeah.
highlighting what we have to offer,
Right. Exactly.
but,
I mean, it's also an opportunity for people to see how their tax dollars are spent.
Are
Yeah.
Come in and
spent,
see
yeah,
that the buildings
exactly.
are maintained
Yeah.
so well, and to get a feel, and look around where they
Mhm.
may have actually gone to school at some point. Well,
To-
Not many of those left, I guess.
To jump from that, I had a family that, a longtime Painesville family, came from, still lives here, but the son moved to Michigan as a principal in another school, has never seen the new Harvey. I took him around with his whole family and his parents who live, you know, on Cedar Brook and have for the last 50 years. And his parents were so impressed because they got to see the lunchbox, which they said that, oh, we always see it, but we never, you know, the grandkids are only here a couple days. They took the grandkids to the lunchbox. I took them around Harvey and showed them everything they wanted to see New Harvey, took them into Mr. Balo's, I call it Mr. Balo's room, but the archives. And this young man could find out where, you know, showed his daughter a picture of himself in band back in, you know, the early 2000s, he's so old. And so it was very, I think we're onto something, as Steve said and Deb said as well, that people were very, I mean, the parents who obviously support the school and have lived here for decades were very impressed at, the example I'll tell you, the science tables were turned up like this. The mom said to me, she said, there's no graffiti. I didn't see anyone writing under desk. When I was in school, we always wrote or had gum under the desk. I said, she goes, how, now wait a second, this building's been open for 10 years. There's no graffiti? I'm like, no. I said, our students are very proud of, and our staff takes pride in what we do. And I said, I hear that all the time, but I take it one of two ways. I take it with a grain of salt, because are they saying we should have that, or the expectation is that it probably wasn't gonna be kept nice?
Because we Chromebooks, we don't have pencils and pens
Right.
and markers, right?
Right.
It's all electronic.
But I think we could probably develop something, a program as well as just an open house. And I know they used to do those, and use title funds back in the day.
you know, I mean, so one of the items on our strategic plan is to
Mhm.
reach out to the community and to find more
Great.
ways to engage the community. I think that's
That's a great
it's
one
a
to
way-
add in there this year.
it's a way to do that as well.
Mhm.
You know, there was that movie, and I forget the name of the movie now, that was at Lake Erie.
Yeah.
You know, kind of the alternative
Mhm.
school method thing, but the one thing that I was really impressed with was kind of the final, was their presentation night, where all their family came, you know, and they presented their projects for the
Mhm.
year, and, you know, not that we do that necessarily, but some kind of a way to engage the students, so, you know, how much do you really look at over the course of the year what you've accomplished in a year? You know, so I think it's another opportunity where we could actually engage the students
Mhm.
and say, look at what you've done over the whole year, you know, and then, you know, hopefully,
Well, we can
would be-
showcase some of
yeah, showcase
our,
it.
right,
you
I
know,
mean.
really top-notch programs here.
Sure.
Um,
You know, and I'm not, I mean, I'm not saying that every student would be able to look at their
Right.
particular work, or nothing that involved, but something to show, here's what, you know, our students are learning, and here's what you are learning as a student, and, you know.
Back in the day at the old high school, Mrs. Remington will remember, and probably Mr. Edwards, I'm sure, we had in the spring an open house. And there were, you know, I mean, people toured the whole building, and the gourmet foods class prepared food, and the choir sang a few numbers, and who knows what Mr. Edwards had them do in wood shop, but, you know. They, parents, and we especially invited parents from the middle school so that they could see the opportunities available, you know, in terms of AP and everything else, so that they were making an informed choice before the kids made out their schedule for the following year. And it was very successful and very well attended. Do you remember that? Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
It was very well attended.
Hey, it sounds
went
great
over
to me.
very well.
I'm more than willing to help with it. I just think that it's time we stepped up and said, hey, this is a great place for your students, and you don't have to look at private schools. You don't have to look at going, you know, out of district schools. You need to come here and you need to see what we offer and see it firsthand. And I think for the senior citizens to be able to come in and see the facilities, and, you know, that was, I think, one of the reasons that we were able to pass levies, I hate to say so easily, but we did have a good long run of passing levies, was because we made sure that our community, whether it was on the TV channel or through open houses, could see the condition of the schools. I mean, I remember letting people come into State Street School and seeing where the Title I reading teacher's closet was the classroom. You know, and they were like, oh my gosh, you know, how can this be? Well, you know, when people can see things for themselves, they understand better. So I just think it's a great tool for a number of reasons. And I'd just like to consider us, you know, doing it, trying it.
Along the lines of that, just tomorrow night, a good outreach. The new band parents are invited. Let the band folks tell you about that, but I got invited as well, and I think that's a great outreach, and you see how that, I think we will see how much more parent participation we'll have in band.
What is that?
That's the goal.
That's the goal. I mean, it's amazing.
Tomorrow night at Rec Park, the band boosters are hosting giving the ninth graders an opportunity to meet the band squad leaders, have the parents come in and see how a band uniform is put together, see how, there's a process to it.
Yeah. It's amazing.
But see how it all goes together, so their kids have an idea who they're gonna be working with in the squads and everything like that. And give the parents a chance to hopefully get involved with band boosters and become part of the school and help support the band and support the school and the growth of that.
And then those, you know, eighth graders might come in knowing at least someone that goes to school here.
That's it, not coming in thinking that they're gonna be stuffed into a locker somewhere.
And
Well, that could happen, no, just kidding.
This is tomorrow night?
Yeah,
Yes, 6 o'clock.
we don't have a freshman, that's probably why,
Or an eighth grader.
or an eighth grader, yeah.
You know, to go back to the open house idea for a second, the ideal thing, which is very unlikely to happen, would be to get to realtors and have them give information to prospective buyers, but they don't usually.
We can still try. You know, there are some Painesville-friendly realtors out there. Like Chris Howard.
I don't know that, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I would be concerned that we would be spending a lot of energy and time and not getting a lot of bang for that effort. But
On this item, I really don't want Mr. Edwards to get used to this, but, what are you plugging your ears for?
I don't need to.
Oh, so the golf outing was rained out on June 23rd, but it was rescheduled for the 30th. I told you that we were trying something new, instead of having baskets that people could purchase tickets to win. We had student work, and a shout out to Miss Timko and Mr. Edwards and Mrs. Edwards. The artwork went over very well. The products made out of wood, I think, let's see, Mr. Haffa purchased
Mr.
some
Haffa, thank you,
artwork.
Mr. Haffa, for your donation.
And the cornhole board brought in $150. And the cutting board brought in $70. And there were some student tables that were purchased for $60 for the pair. So it was way better than having 10 or 12 baskets in the past couple years, so.
That's great.
And one golfer made the suggestion that not only did he like having a student work there, but he thought it would be a good idea if a student attended last year and spoke a little bit about, you know, how this was maybe helping students and teachers. So,
Great.
so Scott, again,
You are.
thank you.
And next year you have to come and give a speech.
Okay, so I have a couple other questions, I mean, a couple other things, and this, I don't know where else to put them, but, so the paperwork has been submitted for the levy,
Yep.
so we can get going on
Not until we get a number and they approve it.
in August?
Yeah.
So they have to wait for everybody.
Yeah, they
to
can't
get a
wait.
ballot.
We can't do anything until
And
they
so-
tell us.
Okay, can we have Mr. Pacheco working on literature?
Yeah,
Sure.
well, yeah, he's not back until August, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we just can't put anything, we can't meet until they give us a number, but we
We
have,
can't even meet, or we can't distribute anything publicly?
distribute anything, we can meet, but remember that it's only one or two people from the board and then no one
Do
else.
fact sheets, your fact sheets.
Yeah, we already have the template for that already together, so we worked on that before the end of the year. And we have an archive of all the other information that was used in every other campaign and levy, it's all archived. So we have all that information. So the template's ready, we're just waiting for the number, the amount that it'll generate, and the approval from the Board of Elections. The certification.
Okay.
And then
So we
we'll-
could really only walk in once in August and once in September, because people vote in October.
Mhm. Yeah, they
November.
start,
November.
well, they start in
Yeah,
October.
Early
Early
voting.
Well,
voting.
yes.
So early voting is
Yeah.
October.
Right.
But probably it's a good time to get it on the calendar now before we get it. Everyone's calendar fills up soon, so we'll have Marie send out a doodle. Well, actually, I'll send it out through the committee, so I'll get that out.
I have, are you get the big question?
I had one other one.
Go ahead.
We were also gonna be discussing the SRO at Heritage tonight. You indicated, I thought.
Yeah, I thought that we were, but,
Ms. DeAngelis is on vacation.
right. I mean, I guess you could give us an update of where we currently stand on that. I mean, I don't know if Mr. Hoffa or you.
I know the police department posted the job again. Before the chief left, he said he had a couple of candidates for it, and then he obviously left, and then we have not gotten an update from them. I want to say about a week and a half on any possible interviews or anything. And I know in the last email, Missy said that she is on vacation through this week, and we're
Mhm.
hoping to set something up next week, see who those possible candidates
have we reached out to the new police chief or the acting police chief at all? To-
We've done that through Miss Ireland, through the city manager. 'Cause Jim will meet with his counterpart at the city, and we usually meet all together, so they're waiting to determine their next steps. I know they're having a meeting tonight about
Mhm.
who will be leading the police force. And
Sure, and obviously that's gonna be a much higher priority than our SRO, but. I mean, I know I talked to Mr. Hack briefly at Colleen's graduation party. We weren't, we shook hands, it's like, all right, no business, and of course, then we start talking about everything, but he said, he would certainly look into it, but we didn't discuss it at any length. I just mentioned that's an issue that we're a little concerned about, given the timing. So, I don't know how that plays out. I mean, if nothing else, I would think that it's critically important that if we're getting if we're stuck with side work, police officers, we have to have some ability to say yes or no for who comes. I don't know how that's gonna play out, but.
There isn't, they sign up for them. It's kind of, I had a conversation with the chief earlier in the year, before we hired who we hired, about a couple individuals, and with their contract and the way that it's set up, I guess the only other thing, and he didn't say it was a possibility, but just saying, we don't want anybody then, if this person or that person signs up.
Well, we can always speak to the new chief and see if he is more amenable to working with us.
We had more.
Because I do have a
more
problem
good
with
people
paying
there.
the freight on this and not getting someone who's going to come over and do nothing but collect a paycheck.
Yeah, and when we did have a couple of those incidences, and I found out about them, I did speak to the chief about those individuals and put the expectation of what we wanted when they were in there. And it was few and far between, but, it did happen a few times. So there was
Well,
at least
then-
3 officers that were almost signing up for all of them, and they're fabulous. So they worked well with the kids at Missy and done above and beyond our expectations on there, so that was at least the bright side. I mean, it was probably 98% to 2%, so it was definitely in our favor.
Well, great. I mean, I guess if you're trying to set something up next week, maybe, hopefully you could do it before we meet Wednesday.
Yes,
We could follow up on that on Wednesday.
I'll reach out again to them tomorrow and just find out the candidates, because they had it posted before when the other officer moved on, and chief's like, yeah, I got a couple candidates interested, we'll set something up, and both of them, I don't know if they moved on to something else, but
Right.
there wasn't even any candidates available at that time, so.
Okay. All right.
Are we, I guess, I don't know, Josh, maybe you could tell me better than anyone. Are we enforcing our dress code, especially at the junior, at the middle school and high school level?
Yes.
I mean, are we allowing, this is my big kick, yoga pants? Are we allowing young ladies to wear yoga pants?
No,
Okay,
it's, with uniform dress code,
Okay.
it is a constant, never-ending scrambling to
Well,
plug
I'm
the
sure,
holes in
yeah,
the
right.
night. And do some kids slip through sometimes?
Okay.
It can happen, and I'm sure it does happen.
Yeah.
But there's a sustained effort
okay.
on the part of everybody.
I just
But to
think
your
it's-
point, yoga pants are not allowed within the dress code as
Right.
it stands right now.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. I just, being on a college campus, it's like all I see. But I just want to make sure that if the board does feel something's important enough to set a policy, that we follow through and make sure that.
Yeah, there's a lot of
It
time
is.
and energy that goes into
Good.
it.
I mean, which you shouldn't have to be spending time on what kids are wearing, but I just, it's just one of those consistent
Yeah,
things.
that's
that-
right.
Okay, good, thank you.
Well, I guess it turned into Q&A instead of positive moments and events, but, or we went beyond that, but, does anybody have anything else? If someone would,
Motion to adjourn?
thank you.
Second?
Ms. Slimak, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Remington?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes?
Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Ms. Bartoloni?
Yes.
Mr. Tackett?
Yes.